there. I want to welcome you to episode number 6 of Mid-Mo Mama. My name is Jenny, and I live in Sedalia, Missouri, where I am making in the Midwest. I'm recording this video on Tuesday, May 19th, for upload on Thursday, May 21st. This program is about yarn crafts and food and whatever else I want to talk about. In today's episode, I am going to show you 2 finished projects, and I'm going to show you how to make a lovely sauce for ribs or whatever kind of barbecue meat you want to have. And I'm going to show you about Death by Chocolate Cake, which was very delicious, and I'm looking forward to showing you how I made it. So let's get this show on the road. So this is the Mama Show and Tell segment of my program, and let's see, not last Sunday, but the Sunday before last was Mother's Day. And I'm a mom. I'm a mom to 3 of my own children, and then I have a stepson who I'm a stepmom to. And my mom is still living. This unfortunately was my husband's first Mother's Day without his mom. She passed away in January. So it was especially difficult for him. You know, he participated, you know, in the celebration, you know, pretty good. But my husband, he got a little crafty from my Mother's Day gift. He bought me this beautiful card. It's very pretty. I don't know if you can see that. I'll probably zoom in. I've learned how to zoom in, so I'm going to do that. But there's the card. It's very lovely. It's got glitter all around it. I love glitter. But he calls it his man-made handmade. And so he got this piece of wood, and he made me a sign for my craft room. It says Jen's Den. Now, ordinarily, I really don't like going by the name Jen, but in this particular case, it's okay because I like rhymes. I like things that rhyme. And so Jen's Den was a pretty good name for my craft room. So he made me a sign. I'm going to put that on my door. So that I will never forget whose room it is. But it's a lovely sign, and I'm very proud of him because he made it all by himself, and I'm very pleased. Also, my daughter, she had just started her job, and so she hadn't gotten paid yet, so she didn't get me anything for actual Mother's Day. But on payday last Wednesday, she said she would order lunch and we would watch a movie together. So she ordered Chinese food, and we enjoyed some Chinese and actually some sushi, because I ordered a sushi roll to share, and so that was delicious. But I'll tell you in the Movie Mama segment what movie we watched for Mother's Day. And then my 2 older boys, Sean and Cameron, they both live in Alaska, and they both sent me a text message wishing me a happy Mother's Day and told me they loved me. So I was very pleased about that. That was a lovely Mother's Day. And then I made the Mother's Day meal. We decided that we were going to go visit my folks. I know they're 72 years old, but we, And you have to celebrate Mom on Mother's Day, and I think none of us are sick. None of us are displaying any signs of sickness, and I know that we're working, and our risk of exposure is probably higher in most cases. But for heaven's sake, Mom needed a good visiting, and so we decided to go over there. And I made dinner. I worked on the Saturday before. I made potato salad, and I made the sauce for the ribs, and I made the Death by Chocolate cake. And then on Sunday, we went over there, and I cooked the ribs, and we had corn on the cob, and baked beans, and potato salad, and finished it up with the Death by Chocolate cake. And it was a wonderful day. We had a wonderful visit. So my nephew next door came over with his girlfriend and their roommate. And so we had a wonderful meal together, a good visit, and we just had a wonderful time. So it was a wonderful Mother's Day. And then I got some Happy Mail today. I wasn't planning to get Happy Mail today, but it was a surprise. Well, it wasn't a surprise. Okay. I have to explain something, because in the past few episodes you're probably saying, man, she sure does a lot of Bible studies. Well, I do a lot of Bible studies, because that's kind of what I geek out on. You know how some, a lot of people like, superheroes, and lots of people like, Doctor Who and sci-fi and stuff. Well, I like Bible study. I really enjoy a guided tour through a book of the Bible, or a subject matter that I'm interested in, or whatever. And my Wednesday women's group, we meet twice a month, and we're in the middle of a study, but we're going to put it aside because we agreed that we wanted to do a summer study, because we have a lot of women in our church who are school teachers. And we were planning to do a summer study that during the out of school months, so that we could have some school teachers participate with us. And so we did. And so I got our study books in the mail today. So this is the study we're going to do. It's called A Woman Who Doesn't Quit, 5 Habits from the Book of Ruth by Nikki Kozayars. I don't know how to pronounce the name. It's Koziarz. So whatever that name is. It's a Lifeway study. Hopefully it's pretty good. Sometimes you have to be careful with Bible studies, because you end up with something with just a bunch of fluff. They have their own opinions, but then they insert a couple of Bible verses here and there just to make it a Bible study. Well, I hope that's not what this is. But hopefully it'll be good, and we'll enjoy our study time together. But we'll be doing this throughout the summer, but we haven't started it yet. So I just want to show you the book that we got. So I'm pretty pleased with that. So we'll see how that goes. But that's it. I didn't buy any yarn. Well, I did, but it's in the next segment. The yarn I bought, I'll get to that in the next segment. So I'm finished with Mama's Show and Tell. So let's move on to the next segment. So now we've made it to the Mama Crafts segment of our program today. I have 2 finished projects that I'm going to share with you. I am very, very proud and pleased to show you the wedding blanket afghan that I have been working on. This is humongous, so I'm going to stand up and show it to you. It's gonna wipe out the screen, but that's okay. I'll show a picture of it too, because I took some really good glamour shots of it over the weekend. But here I have, and I might have some grass in it because I took it outside and laid it on the lawn, and my husband had cut the grass the day before. So there's probably little strands of grass. I'll make sure they're all gone before I gift it, I promise. But here we have, drum roll please. I'll have to find a drum roll soundtrack to put in my finished objects. Anyway, let me show you. So here we have this beautiful purple plum afghan. And it's so big. It's so huge. It's so heavy. And it's wonderful. It's very highly textured. It's got beautiful rounds. It washed beautifully. It looks lovely. Oh, there's some of the a dried up old leaf. But it's a beautiful, lovely thing. And I'm very pleased with it. I'm going to get that out of the way because it's more grass. There's not too much grass. This is a little tiny bit of grass. I'm going to put that outside of the camera. That thing is humongous. It is definitely big enough for two people. Two people can very easily snuggle up under that blanket on the couch. And I think it's wonderful. I was very pleased with it. So what I did, last episode I had 1.5 rounds to go. And I'm like, okay. So I went back to Hobby Lobby and they finally restocked, and once again it was the same nylon. I guess last time I went I could have asked, but I hate asking people to find me more yarn or anything. I hate asking for help because I always assume that the store clerks want anything but the customer to ask them for help. So I go out of my way. I do without stuff before I ask for a customer service representative to do anything for me, because I know I get irritated at that put upon attitude that that you get sometimes when you ask a store clerk for help. So I will not. And even if I go to a store where the clerks are helpful and they offered, that's not true. If they will offer to help me find something, I will let them help me find something. But I will not search down an employee to help me. So I just waited. I just went back the following week, and lo and behold, they had several schemes. So I got 2. And I was able to complete the last 1.5 rounds with just one ball. I had probably about 10 inches of yarn left over from that ball. So I have 1 extra ball. There's a part of me that wants to put tassels on the corners, but there's another part of me that thinks nobody wants tassels on the corners. So I don't know. I have a couple weeks to decide. The wedding isn't until June 20th, so I have a few weeks to make up my mind for sure. But I don't think I'm gonna do tassels. So I ended up finishing the blanket with 1 ball of yarn, and Hobby Lobby will take yarn. Like I've actually taken it back to return. You know, and I didn't use it. I didn't use any of it. But you know, so I should be able to return it. But I might not. But usually when I make something with one ball of yarn, I don't want to make anything else with it, you know. But we'll see. The blanket I made was called Cozy Night Throw by Nicolette Corley Designs. I used I Love This Chunky by Hobby Lobby. It was the colorway Plumberry, and I'm tickled. I'm absolutely tickled by it. I think it's beautiful. I think it'll last them for a long time, and I think it's precisely the color that she likes. So the bride. So I think it'll be a very nice gift. And then the second project that I finished is a trio of face cloths. I washed the face cloths in the machine with the blanket, because if anything's gonna run, it's gonna be cotton. I find, and yeah, the hand-dyed stuff runs sometimes too, but I find that, you know, cotton is, notorious for bleeding in the wash, and so I figured that, you know, if I was going to wash cotton with anything, that blanket was dark, so even if the colors bleed, it won't bleed onto, if it bleeds onto the blanket, you won't see it because it's dark, it's a dark color, so it's okay. But I just made hand cloths, and they're just little hand, about the size of the palm of my hand. The two large ones, and then I made a third smaller one, which is, not a whole lot smaller than the other two. I used 14 pegs for these, and I used 12 pegs for this one. I'm going to just hold one up so you can get a good look at it. It's lovely. It's just a basic 6-wedge, short row, rounded garter stitch face cloth. You wash your face, wash your face, wash your face, and it's nice. I think it's nice. I like it. I'm gonna wash my face with them. And I made 3 because I wanted to use up a ball, and I did. I used peaches and cream cotton in the colorway Blue Moon Ombre, and the pattern is called, it's a loom knit pattern. It's called Just Go Round by Renee Van Hoy, and it's a lovely pattern. I used a Bufanda 44 peg 5/16 inch gauge loom using 14 pegs, except for this one. This was 12. And I thought it came out cute, very cute. Just the right size for a face, for washing my face. I don't use those little makeup pads. What I use is, I use those Neutrogena face cloths. I'll either use Neutrogena or whatever the store brand is. I do like the Neutrogena, but sometimes when I save money, I buy the store brand. But I like Neutrogena products. I use their face wash. but who cares? Nobody cares about that, Jennifer. So anyway, I make these and I like them, and they're nice and thick. They're thick and they're sturdy. They'll hold up well against my jagged, old, wrinkly face. My face isn't jagged. But it's nice. I like them. I'm going to use those with a smile on my face. So that's all I have for finished projects. But I do have 2 works in progress still going on. Once again, in my Blind Mice Cheese Art by Anna bag, I still have my 2 at once toe up magic loop socks. So there's 2, and I'm making progress little by little. I didn't knit on them last night. My knit group just hasn't, I think it's my fault that we haven't been getting together. But I think they wait for me to initiate the call. If one of them has to do it, I don't think they're very comfortable. But if I get on there late, I don't expect them to wait for me. I always hope that they've, gotten started without me, but I guess they're just waiting for me to show up, and I feel bad. So next Monday, because we tend to get together even when there's a holiday. So next Monday, I'll reach out to them, and maybe we'll have a Facebook live video knit together time. But these are the 2 at once toe up magic loop socks by the Knit Picks design team. The yarn is Walk Away by Yarn Bee, and the colorway is Waltz. And I'm using Knitter's Pride Zing US 1.5 or 2.5 millimeter 40-inch fixed circular needles. I only work on them Mondays, except for I didn't work on them at all last night because of my next work in progress, and I'll explain that to you. So the next work in progress I have is the pattern is called Antique Armor. The yarn, the pattern is by 10 hours or less, and I'm using the yarn called Swanky DK by Magpie Fibers, and the colorways are Alloy, which is the gray, and Night Rain, which is the blue. And I have now 4 wedges. My goal is to do 1 wedge a week, and I'm supposed to do 10. Well, I've been doing them on the weekend. I got the wedge done on Sunday, but I didn't get to the trim, the edge of the wedge until yesterday. And I'm like, well, let me do the edge of the wedge and then I'll get working on the socks, right? Well, this took me the whole evening. 10 hours or less, huh? It's 10 hours or less if you're not me, that's all. I imagine everybody else can do this in 10 hours or less. But I did go back, and part of the reason why I didn't finish the wedge on Sunday was because I had all these loose strings, and I said, oh, I don't want to save all those to the very end. So I've decided that after you know, before I get working on the next wedge, I'm gonna weave in my yarns. I'm gonna weave those in before I get working on the next wedge. So, because nobody likes to weave in their ends, and especially not me. And when you have a bunch of them, I find it overwhelming. So I would rather go ahead and tidy those up as I go. So I have a beautiful segment here. I really like it, and I think it's going to drape nicely. I think it's going to be pretty. I think it's going to be comfortable. I'm using my Clover Armor USH 5mm hook, which looks like this. That's my H 5mm. I'm using my Loom Sleep Repeat bag from This Moment Is Good, because it's just the right size, and I like it. I'm using the blue a lot less than the gray. I have this much left of the gray, plus this, plus the part that I had started on previously. If I need to use that, I will, but I think I'll be okay. Because I'm on 4 wedges, this should be a 5th wedge, and then I can do the final 5 wedges with that, I think. I don't know, I might have to use that. I don't know. We'll find out. I also got one of these fish scars. This is new to me. It's a snip. It's a snip, but you can lock it so that the blade is not open. You can lock the blade closed. But boy, these are super sharp. Super sharp. And they were all scissors at Hobby Lobby were 50% off. And I don't know if it's because the price is jacked up so stinking high that half price is actually what the regular price should be. I don't know. The way stores put sales on sales, I'm always skeptical. Is that really a good price? I don't know. I wouldn't pay full price. That's one thing I've learned about, especially shopping at Hobby Lobby. Don't ever pay full price for anything unless you've got that 40% off coupon. But it doesn't work for things like when you buy multiple items. Like for yarn, when their yarn is 30% off. You're not gonna wait for it to go full price and then use your 140% off coupon for the yarn, because you never need just one unless you want to go to Hobby Lobby every single day and buy your one skein for 40% off. I've thought about doing stuff like that before, but to me it's not worth it. If I want something, I want all. But I was doing that for the blanket. But that's because they didn't have enough to go around. But that's it. Those are the 2 works I have in progress, but I've got something on deck to start. Now I have 3 whips now in hibernation, but I want to start something new, something all brand new, fresh. So I'm gonna alternate, pulling a hibernating whip out and with starting a new project. So let me show you what I'm going to start pretty soon. I'm excited. I think it's going to be beautiful. I only have, I'm not going to show you the pattern because my printer only prints black and white. I have a laser printer. So laser printers only come in black and white unless you want, I don't have a color print, that's all there is. But I will throw it up on the screen. The pattern that I want to start, I'm excited, 2 pieces. It's in my queue. Where's it in my queue? I've decided I am going to do a pattern called Novello by Emily Walton. She designs patterns for expression fiber arts, and so usually she'll offer Chandy from Expression Fiber Arts, she'll offer a free pattern every Friday. Well, I don't take advantage of that because I have enough patterns, and if I want to make something, I'll pay for it. I don't mind. So I paid for this pattern. It's a knitted. Novello is a knitted shawl wrap. Now she suggests that you use, of course, Expression Fiber Arts, merino, superwash merino silk pearlescent worsted. I'm going to use Nerd Girl Yarns Parlay, which is 60% merino, 40% bamboo. This is the same yarn that I made my husband's Christmas socks with, except for I used the colorway called Carnival of Time. Well, this one is a two colored shawl using worsted weight. This pattern is designed for use with 3 skeins of our pearlescent worsted weight yarn in colorways Mermaid Harbor for 2 skeins and Sterling Silver in 1 skein. So it's using a similar color palette of the antique armor I'm using, but I'm using a different color palette for this one. Says choose any colorways you like though. Says you'll need US size 8, 5mm, 32-inch circular needle to accumulate the large number of stitches, okay? So notes from the designer. I love these notes. Okay. So pattern inspiration. Emily was inspired by the yarn colors which made her think of waves breaking against the shore. The simple lace pattern and the texture sections gives the impression of water against sand, which is the stockinette sections. The name Novello came from the movie White Christmas. I watched it twice during the time I was working on the sample, and one of my favorite scenes is the first dance number between Danny Kaye and Vera Ellen at Novello's in Florida before the characters head to Vermont. She says, I love Phil and Betty dancing by the waterfront, especially when they hop up on one of the overturned boats without missing a step. I decided to name this piece Novello in honor of that scene. So charming, and I love classic film, so when someone acknowledges a pattern or their inspiration was from an old movie, I'm like, I'm all over that. I'm all over that. The pattern is $5.50. And so I just bought it online. It's not available as a Ravelry download. You have to go to Expression Fiber Arts to purchase the pattern. And I don't have a problem with that. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to make this in. Okay? So this is called, it's a colorway called Heritage. It's a, I don't know what color it is. I want to say it's kind of a coral, or like a rusty color, but it's called Heritage, and it's beautiful. And I was going to use this for the textured lace sections, and then I was going to take this one. It's called How Do You Polish Rust, and it has a ribbon of a color that's similar in here. So if I take the three of them and put them together, they become a harmonious group. I don't know if I'm showing this good. I'm going to lean forward, make sure I zoom in. But it's a beautiful yarn. It's got various different colors. And then I was going to use this for the sand portion where it's all stockinette. So I'm going to use the solids for the texture, and I'm going to use this for the sand. But and these are wonderful. I don't know if it'll have the same drape, because they call for merino silk, and I'm using merino bamboo. But I think it's gonna feel nice, and I think it'll be pretty. So I expect to cast on to this in the next few days. Hopefully before the weekend hits, but I don't know. It depends on what my time is. So, but I'm pretty excited about that. I'm really looking forward to casting that one on. My fingers are getting itchy fingers. But that's all I have for Mama Crafts portion. So let's move on to the next segment. So now it's time for the Ravelry, Mama's Ravelry Pattern Showcase. I don't know. I need to come up with a name for this segment because, one, I don't want anybody to think that I'm showing these patterns as my patterns. They are never my patterns. As a matter of fact, I don't know what to say. But no, these are not my patterns. These are just patterns in my Ravelry highlights that I found particularly noteworthy. So I want to showcase them in this segment, but I can't find a catchy name for it. I don't want anyone to get the impression that I'm trying to pass these off as my patterns. They are not. I do not design. I'm not going to design patterns. That's just, I want to make stuff that other people design. I'm not creative. Other than I like putting colors together, but I don't want to design patterns. So these are not my patterns. These are other people's patterns that I am showcasing on my program for you to consider in your making life. So the first pattern I want to showcase to you is called Coral Floral by Andrea Halasi, Halasi. It's a knitted shawl wrap with using Aran weight yarn, US 9 5.5 millimeter needles. It's available in small, medium, and large sizes. And the languages available is in English and German. This pattern is available for €6.50 or $7.38 in US. Coral Floral is a simple triangular shawl inspired by Zentangle. Zentangle is an abstract drawing using different repetitive patterns. This shawl evokes the atmosphere of Zentangle by different patterns. Until the end of May, get this shawl at 20% off, no coupon required. The shawl starts with just a few stitches from the tip, and the stitch count is increasing as the shawl progresses. You can choose from 3 sizes. The first 90 rows are the same for all sizes. Then you have to decide which size you want to knit. If you are not sure whether your yarn is sufficient, the following calculation will help. And she gives you a calculation that you can use to determine if you have enough yarn for the entire shawl. That is very helpful, and it's nice that it's in the pattern notes prior to purchasing. That's very handy. Thank you very much, Andrea. Gives you the finished measurements, tells you the materials, the yarn you'll need, what type of needle you need, other notions that you need, gives you the gauge, and it gives you all of that same information in German. So that's fantastic. I love that. I love that. And what drew me to this one was you got the mesh going in either direction, but then you have this one wave of like a feather look, and that's what drew my eye. So it's lovely. I highly recommend you at least look at it. And because you can get this shawl for 20% off through the end of the month. So yay. Yay. Thank you, Andrea Holossi. You're amazing. So I'm pleased about that one. The next pattern I would like to feature on my pattern showcase is called Glennis by Raven Stitch Knits. It's a knitted shawl wrap. It's knitted with Knit Picks Cotton, which is a DK, cotton linen blend. Uses a US 3.25 millimeter knitting needle. It's knitted in one size, and it's available in English. It is available as a Ravelry download for $7. Says, lovely wrap for spring, summer. Easy to substitute yarns for this style. If heavier yarn is used, the wrap's dimensions just a little larger and makes a nice wrap for cooler days. So you can make it in a little bit of a heavier weight, or a different fiber other than cotton linen. But the thing that drew me, of course, is the texture. I've mentioned before, I am all about, if it's all one color, it's got to have lots of texture. Otherwise, it's got to have lots of different colors. So it's just what my eye is drawn to, and I think that's just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Looks like it would take a long time, but it is beautiful. It calls for about over 1,200 yards of yarn, so that's quite a lot of yarn. Lots of knitting in that one, which is beautiful. It's beautiful. I would be so pleased. I would actually wear. It just seems so cozy, and I'm chilly a lot. I find myself to be very chilly often, and I think that one just might fit the bill for me at some point later on. The next pattern I would like to showcase to you is called Lunaria by Jasmine Rosanen. It's a crochet shawl wrap. I just like Jasmine Rosinen's patterns in general. She's one of my favorite designers. I've never made anything of hers, but she always uses a gradient yarn in all her pattern pages, and so I want to make everything she displays because they are absolutely breathtakingly gorgeous. You know, in color and in design. They're just absolutely beautiful. I will make something of hers someday. I do know this. But this one is designed for fingering weight. We're going to use a 4mm G hook, and it's available in U.S. crochet terminology, and it's available in 3 languages: English, Finnish, and German. So that's fantastic. The pattern is available at her website, crazypatterns.net, for $3.50 euro. I don't know what that equates to US, but you can go to her website and look at that. It says, Lunaria is an asymmetrical triangular scarf with a cable pattern. It is worked from the side, one color, or with a gradient yarn. It is an eye catcher. What skills are you going to need, and what will you get? The pattern is written and includes a crochet chart. In addition, you will find an extra crochet chart for a rectangular scarf. The pattern is for advanced crocheters. Following stitches you should know in U.S. terms: chain, double crochet, front post double crochet, back post double crochet, double treble crochet, and front post double treble crochet. So you'll need yarn and a 4mm hook. Please respect my copyright. Don't share the pattern without my permission. Individual items worked after my pattern can be sold with mentioning the designer. Morbin Design, that's her brand, I guess. Morbin, M-O-R-B-E-N Design. Anyway, lovely, beautiful. Go check that out. Lunaria. The next pattern I would like to showcase in this segment is called Sea Wave Shawl by Deborah Newton. It's a knitted shawl wrap, and suggested yarn weight is fingering using a US 8 5mm needle. The shawl is one size, and it's available in English. This pattern is available for $4 US, and it is a Ravelry download. This lace shawl features multiple lace patterns. Scalloped trims are worked separately and sewn on later. Okay. That's okay. That's okay. It's fine. I'm sure it does turn out beautiful because it caught my eye. It was lovely. So don't let that be a deal breaker. I'm not going to let that be a deal breaker. Maybe I'll make this someday. Fingering weight yarn is worked on large needles for a light open fabric. It's going to be beautiful. I love texture. The stitch pattern is just beautiful. And those added on waves are lovely. You know. But it's a knitted pattern. And it's beautiful. I love it. I love it. And I would even make those waves separately and sew them on later. I don't like sewing, but I've never let that stop me from making a pattern. The sweater I made, it it was knitted in two pieces, and I seamed them together up the side, and it's not perfect, but it's not so bad that I wouldn't wear it. I wear it to church quite often, so it's okay. The last pattern I would like to showcase on my program is called Traveling Vines on Bricks by Lily Clatt. It is a knitted shawl wrap. Everything is a shawl or a wrap. I'm sorry I didn't put any socks or anything else in there. But that was what's been drawing my eye lately. Anyway, it is a knitted wrap using DK weight, US size 8 needles, 5.5 millimeter, and it's available in English. Attention, attention, attention. This pattern is available as a free Ravelry download. It's free! It's a free Ravelry download. It is beautiful. It says, I was playing around with some yarn and was going to make a cowl. Then it became too long and changed into a scarf. Then it was too narrow and became a shawl. By the end, it came out perfect. The good thing about this pattern is that it would be very easy to change the weight of the yarn. I will give the measurements, but since the sides are picked up, it would be very easy to change the pattern to suit your knitting. She says, I did use a white cotton, however the red yarn that I used bled when I blocked it, and I am embracing the pink. I've done that. Yeah. And what happens is and especially if it's red, like, my husband got a new a red polo shirt, and I washed it with all the regular laundry. Well, the one cream top that was in there, it was such an even color run that it looked like it was naturally pink, or that it was. So if it's an all over even bleed, then I don't mind that either. But I don't know if just be careful what yarns you use and how it bleeds. But I do have a color catcher, but I don't know if they work. I imagine they do. I would hope that they do. I just have to keep it in my mind that if I have white yarn and I want it to remain pristine white, then always, no matter what colors you use a color catcher, and maybe that will prevent your white from getting tinted with the other colors that you knit or crocheted with. But it is beautiful. I love the Traveling Vines on Bricks, and it's free. So thank you, Lily Clatt, for providing us a free pattern, and it's beautiful. I love the vines. I love the brick pattern. I think it's delightful, absolutely delightful. So please check that one out and see if that's something that you might be interested in. And did I mention it's free? We like that. Okay. So that concludes Mama's Ravelry Pattern Showcase. So let's move on to the next segment. And now it's time for Mama Cooks. And this is going to be a very short segment. On Mother's Day, I made barbecue ribs. And I think this was the very first time I've ever made ribs. And there's a dear friend of ours who also passed away in January. In January, our church, our family, experienced 3 deaths in a very short period of time. Well, Dean was one of the men that passed away. He passed away just a few days after Scott's mom passed on. And Dean was such a pleasant fella. I really liked him. A lot of us were really moved, and he passed away quite by surprise. It was a sudden thing. But for his funeral service, they had the the obituary card that shared a little bit about his life. On the other side of the card was one of his best recipes. It was called Dean's Good Ribs. Well, I'm sharing with you today Dean's Good Sauce for ribs. Because you can use this sauce on any kind of barbecue meat. You can use it on ribs, you can use it on pork steaks, you can use it on beef steak, you can use it in pulled pork, I guess. You could use it, if you want barbecue chicken, you can use it on your chicken. Whatever you want to use this sauce on when you're barbecuing or when you're cooking meat, this is a very delicious sauce. So I'm sharing that sauce with you today. It's called Dean's Good Sauce for Ribs. So let's check it out and see how it's made. For Dean's Good Sauce, you need 3/4 cup of soy sauce, you'll need 3/4 cup of apricot jam or preserves. I used that whole jar there. It was just a little tiny bit over 3/4. You need 3/4 cup of honey. You'll need 1 teaspoon of cumin. You need 1 tablespoon of hot sauce. You need 1 tablespoon apple cider vinegar. You need 2 to 3 garlic cloves crushed. I used minced garlic. Mix them all together and you have your sauce. And now it's time for Mama Bakes. This time, I made a cake I hadn't made before. It was called Death by Chocolate. Death by Chocolate. And it was very, very chocolatey, I have to say. There's no doubt about that this was a chocolate cake. But I used a recipe that's in this fundraiser cookbook that I've been using for a while now. I'm getting tired of using the same old cookbook though. I'm probably going to move to another cookbook here before too long. Not that I've made all the recipes, but variety. I need some variety. I need to do some other cooking. But anyway, the Death by Chocolate cake was delicious. The recipe said, believe me, frosting is not necessary with this cake. So the recipe is just the cake. I disagree. And I was going to sprinkle powdered sugar over the top of it. I thought that would be a nice touch. But in retrospect, now that I've eaten the Death by Chocolate cake, it needs to have some kind of icing. And I would say a thin, but I would definitely do a chocolate, because otherwise you can't call it Death by Chocolate anymore. But I would go with a thin chocolate icing to drizzle over it. I think that would help it. Because my saliva production is not as good as it used to be, I find that cake is probably one of the most difficult treats for me to enjoy because it is so dry in texture, and I have a hard time maneuvering dry stuff to swallow it. You know, I can get stuff to the back, but I can't get it to go down, which is a really strange thing unless I have a beverage to push it. So I did struggle with it a little bit, but that's because I have very peculiar issues when it comes to eating. Everyone who tasted it absolutely enjoyed it. I shared it on Mother's Day, and everybody had a piece, and they had theirs with vanilla ice cream and chocolate sauce on it, because that's the way my family rolls, and it was good. And I had half a cake left over, and we were invited over for dinner on Tuesday with a very casual couple that we're friends with, and I thought, well, let me bring this cake to share with them. And we brought stuff to make root beer floats and cake, and so we had root beer floats and Death by Chocolate cake on Tuesday as well. So it was good, it was delicious, and so I'm going to show you how I made it. So enjoy the Death by Chocolate cake. For Death by Chocolate cake, you will need 1 box chocolate fudge cake mix, 1 small box of instant chocolate fudge pudding, 1/4 cup oil, vegetable oil or canola oil, 1/4 cup of water, 1/2 cup of sour cream, 4 eggs, and a 12-ounce package of semi-sweet chocolate chips. You want to mix the ingredients together, and you're going to pour it into a greased bundt pan. You'll bake it at 350 degrees for 55 minutes. You're going to cool it for 15 minutes and then turn out of the pan. The recipe says that there's no frosting required, that it's chocolatey enough just on its own. But I would recommend using a thin chocolate glaze poured over the top. I think that would be helpful, and it would just add to the chocolatiness. But it was a lot of fun to make. And now it's time for Mama Reads. I finished one book recently. It was called Influx by Daniel Suarez. I listened to it on audio, and I thought it was a very interesting story. It was about how scientists make these high technological discoveries, and then this team comes in that works for the government and kidnaps them and forces them to share their secrets, and so that they can have all of the technology. But it wasn't the U.S. government. It was like an international government that was manipulating the United States and other countries to share their secrets with them, so that they could use all those technologies against the world. It was very interesting. I hope that doesn't happen in real life. But it was a good story. It wasn't a good story. It was just thought-provoking is what it was. So I finished that one. And I'm still reading a bunch of books. I'm still working on Biscuits, Butter, and Blessings, Farm Fresh Devotions for Hope and Comfort by Linda Kozar. On my Kindle, this is my Kindle, I'm still reading The Rainbow, The Brangwyn Family #1 by D.H. Lawrence. I got another chapter done in this one. I'm 70% along. 70%. I'm almost done. I'm way more than halfway. Happy about that. But I realized when I bought the first one, I also bought the second one. It's called Women in Love. It's going to be a long time before I read the sequel. That's all I'm going to say. I'm still working on Murder, She Knit by Peggy Earhart. It's a knit nibble mystery #1. We're still working on Fatal Distractions, Conquering Destructive Temptations by Kay Arthur. We did Pride, and then this last time we met together we did Anger. Now we're putting this one aside for the summer because we're going to pick up that other study. And then when that study's over with, we'll pick this back up again in August. So, but this has been really helpful. Anger and Pride. Did I say fear? It wasn't fear. It was Pride and Anger. Those were the two. And then my husband and I are working on Crazy Love by Frances Chan. I'm reading the book, and we're doing the workbook together, and we're watching little DVD videos. And it's been, we did our first session last Thursday, and it was good. We had some good conversation, I think. So I'm happy about that. And finally, I started another audiobook called... Anyway, I'm reading The Signature of All Things by Elizabeth Gilbert. And I'm enjoying that. I'm about 6 hours in. It's a 21-hour program. So that's going to keep me occupied for at least the next couple weeks, I think. But it's been good. It's been an engaging story. And so that's good. So that concludes Mama Reads. Let's move on to the next segment. Now it's time for Movie Mama. And I love this segment of my program. And I watched a bunch of movies. I watched 6 films in the past couple weeks. I watched The Highwayman from 2019 with Kevin Costner, Woody Harrelson, and Kathy Bates. I loved it. It was about the bounty hunters that went after Bonnie and Clyde, and it was fascinating. I love the story told from the perspective of the lawmen, because I've seen the ones, that were about Bonnie and Clyde, but this was about the chase, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic, so I highly recommend that one. I watched. This is the one. This next movie is the one I watched with my Audrey. She wanted to do lunch and a movie, and so we watched The Invisible Man from 2020 with Elizabeth Moss, Oliver Jackson Cohen, and Harriet Dyer, and it was suspenseful. It had its jumpy moments, but boy, the poor gal, it was I don't want to give away the movie. I didn't think it was a very plausible movie by any stretch of the imagination. At the end of it, I'm like, no, that wouldn't happen. If they came up with a suit that could make you invisible, though, I would want one. I often answer that in little surveys. What would you want your superpower to be if you had a superpower? I would want to be invisible. I would love that. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. And if they made a suit that could make you invisible, do you realize how expensive that would be? Not in my lifetime would I be able to save up enough money to buy a suit that would make you invisible. But it was a good movie. I watched Cape Fear, 1962, with Gregory Peck, Robert Mitchum, and Polly Bergen. Folks, I have watched both of these movies before. I've watched the newer one that was done in the 90s, and I watched this one, but this was my very first. I have been a TCM fan, Turner Classic Movies fan, for a long, long time. And I have never done a TCM watch party. One of my friends that I went to a couple of the TCM Classic Film Festivals with, she wanted to do a TCM watch party. So I joined in with the watch party, and you know what? That's fun. All you do is you go on Twitter and you watch the movie with the other people who are watching the movie, and you use the hashtags, hashtag TCM party, and you use the hashtag of the movie. In this case it was Cape Fear, and we watch the movie together, and people remark, they remark what they, their perception of a scene, or, wisecracking. There's a lot of wisecracking, in there. But that was a lot of fun. I think I'm going to do that again sometime. But I enjoyed Cape Fear. It's a creepy movie. It's, and God, that Robert Mitchum, he's a good looking guy, but he was getting older, a little older in years, and he was still good looking, but he looked kind of bloated. He looked a little bit bloated in this film. And it's funny because he took his shirt off several times, and these men, these Hollywood heartthrobs, they didn't work out like the Hollywood actors do today. I mean, they have abs, crazy abs. Well, these men from the 60s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, when they don't wear a shirt, let's just say they don't have six-pack abs. And so they're holding their gut in and trying to talk at the same time, and they're holding their breath because they're sucking their gut in, and it's just, it makes me laugh. But it's fine. It's okay for actors to not have a six-pack abs, because most of us are normal, old, raggedy people, and it's fine. The human body is fine in all its ways and shapes and forms. Another movie I watched was called Battle Los Angeles. It's one of my husband's favorite films. It's from 2011. It has Aaron Eckhart, Ramon Rodriguez, and Will Rothar. And it's about these aliens that attack LA, and the Marine Corps falls into action defending the United States against these alien forms, and it was actually pretty good. And I don't mind movies like that, but my husband especially likes Aaron Eckhart. He actually looks for movies that guy is in, because he really likes the movies that he acts in. So, but I enjoyed it. It was good. The other night I watched The Old Maid, 1939, with Bette Davis, Miriam Hopkins, and George Brent, and I thought that was a good drama. It was a good drama kind of movie, but it had a warm-hearted ending to it, so I liked it. I have to say, for all of Bette Davis's fame and notoriety, I'm not all that fond of her. And I feel bad, because I feel like I have to like her since I love classic film. So I'll probably... I watch movies that she's in, but I've never been overly impressed with her. But it seems like she was like the Meryl Streep of her day. And I guess she's a convincing actress. She has some good qualities, but I guess I don't connect with her roles, I guess. That could be what it is. Maybe I just don't connect with the roles that she plays. But I did watch a wonderful movie last night. It was called Born to Dance. It was from 1936 with Eleanor Powell, James Stewart, and Virginia Bruce, and I adored it. It was a musical, and it had Buddy Ebsen in it, and a couple of other actors and actresses, and it was dancing and singing, and it was fellas from the Navy coming to shore, and so there was a lot of military. I love patriotic military musicals. I love those. I don't know why. I mean, I guess because it's so patriotic and heartwarming, and there's romance involved, and there's beautiful ladies and handsome men, and they're dancing and having a fantastic time, and that was not my experience when I was in the military. There's no dancing. There's a lot of grinding. There's a lot of grinding when you go over to the enlisted club, and they're playing the music and stuff. There's times I think that I was born in the wrong generation, but that's okay. God knows what He was doing when He had me born in 1972. But I really enjoyed Born to Dance, so if you get a chance to watch that, I would recommend that one, because it was fun. It was fun dancing and all that. So, but that's all I've watched. That's all I've watched for Movie Mama. So let's move on to the next segment. And now we've come to Miscellaneous Mama, and I wanted to talk about a couple of different things. First of all, I wanted to let you know that I have found a new online maker community. It's called Stitched.Zone. Okay, Stitched.Zone, and I'll throw a picture of it on the screen. I was on Instagram within the last couple of weeks, and somebody that I follow, and I don't know who it was, posted a little screen of their logo, on and told, mentioned that they were on there. And so I was curious. I wanted to check it out and see what it was. And it's just an online forum. I hate to use Ravelry as a standard of comparison, but they're the standard, okay? Arguably, you can argue with me, it's okay. But they're the standard for knitting online communities, right? Well, I've been looking for an alternative for a while, and I have to say, I love Ravelry for their patterns and their yarn database and my notebook. I love my notebook. My notebook is cherished, which is why I'll never leave Ravelry. I have this social thing where I like to spend a lot of time on social, but then if I'm spending a lot of time visiting with people, I'm not getting any projects done. And for me, I'm either visiting all the time or I have to separate from the visiting and work on my projects. Otherwise, my projects aren't getting done. And so I go through seasons where I'm social for a while and then I'll drop off. And then I'm social for a while and then I'll drop off. They provide a service that I use. I'm going to use their service. And I don't care where they stand on any subject matter because I like the resource that they offer. And I used it. However, I am not opposed to trying new social forums, new formats of social interaction. And so I checked out Stitched.Zone. And I got on there last night for just a little while. And they have groups, which are very cool. They have a stories page where you can, it's similar to Instagram, where you can take a picture of what you've done and make a comment about it and post it on the stories page and people can like it or whatever. They have a notebook, which is nothing like the Ravelry notebook by any stretch of the imagination, but it's got a little place for your profile and you can write your own little notes in your notebook, and you can take, I took my two finished projects that I showed you today. I took my photos that I had of it and put them in my notebook. But I chit-chatted with a couple of the people that were on there, and I put a link to my YouTube channel because they have a thread forum where you can tell them how to find you on other social media. So I thought that was fun. So I put my YouTube channel on there and my Instagram. But I just thought it was a nice, different format. It looked different and it felt fresh, and so I think I'll hang out there for a little bit longer. And see how it develops. There's not very many people on there, but I would recommend that you take a look at it just to see what it is. I felt that it was worth. Now they have a free plan and they have a paid for plan. The paid for plan is $9 annually. I had $9, so I went ahead and I paid $9 for all of the functions. And from what I saw, I guess it was worth $9. I guess for an entire year it would be. So I went and paid the $9. So check out Stitched.Zone and see what you think of it. And, let me know what you thought of it. You can put that down in the comments. What else is going on? Tomorrow I'm going to my folks' house. I'm going to go visit my mom and dad for a little while. Their wedding anniversary is coming up. It'll be on Tuesday, the 26th. And since I'm going to go see them tomorrow, I'm going to take them an anniversary card. They've been married 52 years on Tuesday the 26th. So I'm very happy they've been married for such a long time. They've put up with each other for a long time. I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they did it. But they've done it. They're doing all right. And then Memorial Day is on Monday. I don't have anyone who died in service to our country. However, there are lots and lots of veterans in my family. So, for one, my husband and I were both active duty. I was active duty Air Force for 10 years. My husband was active duty Navy for 10 years. My dad is a retired Chief Warrant Officer 3 from the Army. He was active duty Army, and then he was full-time Army Reserve for many years. So he was a Chief Warrant Officer. He was a Chief Warrant Officer in the Army. So, and then Scott's dad, he started out Army and he retired from the Air Force. And he was in Korea. My dad was in Vietnam. So my dad was Vietnam. Scott's dad was in Korea. I have an uncle that was also in Korea. He was in the Navy. My grandpa, my dad's dad, was in the Air Force. I don't know if he was in World War II or if he joined right after World War II. I do not know that. My uncle, my dad's brother, he went Marine Corps, but he broke his back in basic training, so that didn't work out for him. My great-grandpa, Mitchell Bailey, my dad's grandpa, my dad's mom's dad, he was in the Great War, World War I. His name was Mitchell Bailey. And if there's anybody else, I don't know. Oh, Scott's brother was also in the Navy. He served 20 all the way to retirement. I don't know if he served 20 or 24 years. My dad served 24. But yeah, we have a lot of veterans in our family, but we never had anyone die on active duty or in combat. But you know, we support the military because we all support the military. I do support all the men and women who wear the uniform day in and day out, and who have who have the gumption and the grit to stay with it for a long time. I'm proud of them. But that's all I have to say for Miscellaneous Mama, so let's move on to the next segment. So now we've made it to Mama Wraps Things Up. I want to thank you for spending your time with me. I know that watching my show is a choice, and I am grateful that you have given me a slice of your valuable time. If you enjoyed what you saw today, please click the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up down there in the bottom though. Give me a thumbs up so that I know somebody watched my program. And when you click subscribe, all it does is help you to find me more easily the next time you log on to YouTube. If you want to ask me a question, let's see. Oh, I didn't tell you. Episodes are posted on the first and third Thursday of every month. And if you want to ask me any questions, you can comment below, or you can contact me via email at midmomama2@gmail.com. I can be found on Instagram as midmomama1, and on Ravelry I am JenniFerReals. And on Stitched.Zone I am midmomama. And oh, and as a disclaimer, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not, but I have not been paid to promote any pattern, yarn, project, webpage, or anything. I have not been paid to promote anything. I go there by my own accord, and everything I share is my own very invaluable opinions. It's just what I think of it. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to like it. And I just share what I'm interested in and what I'm working on that I've paid for with my own money. So no one's paying me to say good things. So I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, God bless you. Bye.